Okay, let's talk about goal setting and pursuit. The goal setting and pursuit circuitry essentially consists of 4 major stations in the brain. Each of those stations has a number of other connections that are important for the whole goal setting and pursuit process. But we can distill things down to 4 major hubs or stations within the brain, and those are the basal ganglia, the lateral prefrontal cortex, and the orbital frontal cortex. But for sake of today's discussion, it's important to understand that the orbital frontal cortex is involved in evaluation of our current emotional state and arousal state as it relates to our goal pursuit. For instance, are we happy because we are sensing progress? Or are we unhappy and feeling frustrated or sad or angry because we are feeling that we are not achieving progress, or that somehow we can't get into the sorts of actions that are going to allow us to eventually reach our goals? Okay, so now you have the understanding that we all have the same neural circuitry for goal setting and pursuit. I find that amazing, regardless of whether or not you want to achieve a fitness goal or an academic goal or a work goal, monetary goal, relationship goal. Maybe you want to just get better at relaxing. Well, you're going to use the same neural circuits for each and any of those. What it means is that if we can focus on the tools and protocols that are anchored in the biology of goal setting and pursuit, as we understand them to exist in all humans and indeed in other animals as well, well, then we should have the greatest possible confidence that we will in fact achieve our goals. So how do we go about doing that? Well, the first question you need to ask yourself is, what goal do I want to pursue? And the first protocol for deciding what goal you want to pursue is actually a quite simple one in terms of how it's stated, but it's fairly complex for a lot of people to answer. And that is, most people who try to achieve many goals simultaneously fail at all of them. This is what I call the overhaul approach. When people think, okay, on January 1 or next month or next week, or perhaps even today, I'm going to start exercising, I'm going to start meditating, I'm going to learn a language, I'm going to learn to dance, I'm going to do all these different things. And that's just too many goals. I think here is an appropriate place to highlight the word priority. A priority literally means one thing that you place ahead of all others. We really should be thinking about priority and defining our priority for learning in a given phase. So if you are somebody who wants to get more physically fit, or you want to learn something cognitively, that's terrific. You are allowed to have multiple goals, but I highly recommend that you first select just one goal. Of course, you don't let go of other aspects of your mental health and physical health, that you don't throw your life away in service to this one goal, but rather that you continue to engage in healthy ways with the other aspects of your life that you're proficient at or mostly proficient at, but that you select one goal that you're going to try and attain. How you select that one goal, of course, is going to reflect your values, your motivation, your resources, but it's very important that you spend some serious time defining that one priority, that one goal. The best way to define which goal they're going to pursue is to write out the different things that they want, and then essentially cross off the various things that they're willing to put on hold for the time being, and circle the thing that they're really going to focus on, and only that thing. And again, this is highly individual. It's going to depend on you, your past, your present, your future, your resources, all of that. But having that one priority is going to really increase the probability that you're going to achieve your goal. Now, we also know from the scientific literature that how lofty that goal is will impact whether or not you are able to achieve it. And I think most people mistakenly believe that if a goal is easy to achieve, it's more likely that they will achieve that goal. But in fact, the opposite has been shown to be true. If a goal is too easy to achieve, it seems that it doesn't recruit sufficient amounts of the arousal network that involves the amygdala, but a bunch of other brain structures as well, that get people into the necessary actions to continually pursue that goal. In order to learn something, we have to shift our nervous system into states that are somewhat uncomfortable. Any kind of successful learning or goal pursuit is going to involve errors. It's going to involve failures. It's going to involve frustration. It's going to involve anxiety. All of those states of mind and body, in fact, shift the brain into modes of so-called neuroplasticity. They give it the ability to change. And that should make perfect sense, because if you can complete what you need to do easily, there's absolutely no reason for the neural circuitry in your brain or body to shift in any way. Why would it? Rather, those states of discomfort, frustration, anxiety, etc., represent shifts in neurochemical states that literally open the opportunity for neuroplasticity to occur, the changes between neurons that allow those neurons and their associated neural circuits to perform differently in the future when we learn something. It makes sense to pursue a somewhat loftier goal than perhaps a more mundane goal, or if you know exactly what goal you're going to prioritize, that you try and achieve perhaps more than you think you ought to be able to achieve within that given goal. Now, in doing so, you are inevitably going to encounter some frustration and anxiety, but now that you understand that anxiety and frustration is actually the gateway, it's a necessary gateway to achieving neural circuit changes, so-called neuroplasticity. But remember the component of the neural circuitry that we talked about at the beginning of the episode, the orbital frontal cortex? That orbital frontal cortex is not just part of a neural circuitry that assesses how we feel in a given moment as we are trying to pursue a goal, but it also understands context. Well, the orbital frontal cortex literally can take information about neuroplasticity, can take information about frustration, which you now have, and it can combine those such that when you experience that frustration, you experience those errors, and you previously would have wanted to quit, now you know that you are literally making progress. You're literally shifting those neural circuits in the direction of improved learning. Now, it's also important to remind that neuroplasticity, the changes in neural circuits that allow for improved performance in the future, does not occur instantaneously. That frustration that occurs during our attempts to learn or to pursue a goal is the trigger for neuroplasticity, the actual rewiring of neural circuits that allows for proficient, correct performance. Okay, so returning to goal setting and pursuit, first you need to set your goal. You really should take the time required to define your priority. What are you going to try and learn? And then you're going to pick a goal that really feels challenging, that feels like it might even be out of reach, because that will recruit the neural circuits associated with arousal. They're motivating enough to get you into action. I'm saying pick a goal that feels just a bit out of reach, and don't obsess too much about whether or not it's a lot out of reach or a little bit out of reach. Pick something you're excited to pursue that you would really like to accomplish. Set that goal and then just set aside all other goals. Still, of course, maintain or improve other aspects of your life that are necessary for daily living, for mental health, physical health, etc. But really just focus on one goal. I promise that you will be far more satisfied with the results if you can truly set a priority.